Hello there. Welcome to another episode of Pre-Workout Chat. My name is Rob Wright, and I'll be your host. Today is Sunday, June 23rd, 2024. And today is a special day because today we will begin our experiment with Turk Builder Plus and GO2 Max. I am actually sipping on this sample pack of pre-workout that I got with my order. So I'm enjoying this the Harder Than Last Time supplement brand, HTLT, by Coach Greg. The grape candy is okay. It has like a more sweeter taste than I like. So I don't know if me personally, if I would go with like the grape candy flavor, but I'm excited to try out the other ones, and I'm very interested in trying out that the peach rings. I'm definitely interested in trying that one out. If you haven't done so already, you could go ahead and check out the Harder Than Last Time supplement store. So that's going to be HTLTSUPPS.com. And again, I'm not endorsed by them or anything. These are just where I'm getting my products, and I'm just trying to be open and upfront about the stuff that I'm using and where I'm sourcing them from. And so, with that being said, let me just put out a quick disclaimer. Now that that's out of the way, we can go ahead and continue with the show. So, for this experiment, I just wanted to go ahead and just lay down the framework of the experiment. So essentially, this experiment is going to be using these two products, right? The GO2 Max is what I am kind of using as a fat burner. The key ingredient for this supplement is NMN, which stands for the nicotinamide. Yeah, I think it's nicotinamide, the nicotinamide mononucleotide, and this is supposed to have like a lot of health benefits. But overall, this supplement is formulated to essentially, if we go off the website, so GO2 Max is essentially supposed to improve the aerobic exercise capacity, the VO2 and ventilatory thresholds. So essentially, it's supposed to make you do more, basically improve the endurance. So GO2 Max is supposed to increase the energy, increase the endurance, allow you to recover faster between sets, and last longer and train harder during the workouts. So that's the essential purpose of GO2 Max. All right. So the purpose of me taking GO2 Max is for cardio. Okay, so I'm taking this supplement before I do my cardio, and I'm going to combine it with about like half of my pre-workout drink, and that's what I'm going to do at like 5 o'clock in the morning. And so the goal is to try to get my cardio somewhere between an hour to 2 hours long. So that's where I'm trying to get to. I'm going to basically be increasing it in steps because I have to make sure that my cardio balances out with my hypertrophy training. So I don't want to burn myself out and not have anything in the tank by the time that I actually do my hypertrophy training, which is why for my cardio, it's going to be a steady state cardio. It's not going to be HIIT or anything intense. And essentially, I'm going to keep it at the level 2, zone 2 cardio. And for me, that's going to basically be between 116 beats per minute all the way up to 135 beats per minute. And so the goal, and this is what I'm hoping GO2 Max can do, is allow me to push my cardio, because right now I could do cardio for about 30 minutes to 40 minutes. It's been a little harder over the last 3 weeks because I had COVID, and so the COVID was kind of messing up my lungs. But now that I'm feeling better, and now that the COVID is kind of like leaving my system, my lungs should get stronger, and I'm hoping that I can improve my overall cardiovascular system by increasing how long I can do the cardio. And so again, the goal with GO2 Max, get my cardio from 30 minutes up to about 2 hours. Turk Builder Plus. So, when we're looking at Turk Builder Plus, essentially, I believe this supplement is supposed to like mimic steroids, but it's not exactly a steroid because this is an ecdy steroid. And testosterone is one of the higher levels of ecdy steroids. And so you're supposed to, when you take the testosterone, you're supposed to like be able to push yourself more in the gym. You should be able to recover faster in the gym, because ultimately the testosterone is going to almost mimic testosterone, except the ecdy steroids are less anabolic than your normal steroids. But what the testosterone is going to do is, it's going to allow you to feel that pump, which is something that I am chasing. Is going to allow you to push yourself more, and hopefully it will allow you to recover faster. But generally speaking, all the ecdy steroids are kind of like hit or miss. You know what I'm saying? Because they're less anabolic than normal steroids, it really just comes down to your personal genetics. It will either work for you or it won't. But yeah, that's essentially why I'm taking the Turk Builder Plus. How I have my diet right now, I have my diet at about 500 calories beneath my maintenance. And so essentially I'm trying to use cardio to create a greater caloric deficit. And but still, because my main goal is building muscle, because that's what keeps me in the gym. Is I like the idea of building muscle. This is what keeps me on the path. This is what keeps me going. So today I wanted to again just break down the program and how I'm going to run this experiment. So yes, right, we're busting out the Excel sheet. All right, so let's start with the diet, right? All right, the diet is pretty similar to from phase one. I didn't really need to change anything because I kind of felt like everything was pretty balanced. It's still going to be about 1 pound of ground beef, a fourth a cup of rice, 4 eggs, a half an ounce of cheese, 1 tablespoon of butter, 2 scoops of protein powder, 2 cups of spinach, 1 tablespoon of honey, and 1.5 cups of soy milk, plus my vitamins. And essentially, how my meals break down is at 5 o'clock in the morning. Before I do my cardio, I will have half of my pre-workout drink, plus I will take GO2 Max, and that's what I will do at 5 o'clock in the morning. Then I will get into my cardio. At 7 o'clock is when I cut everything off because at that point is when I need to start getting ready for work. So at 7 o'clock is when I have my second meal, which is going to be the eggs, the spinach, and cheese, plus the assortment of vitamins that I typically take. And later in the video, I'm also going to do a breakdown of the vitamins that I take and why I take them. So at that point, I shower, I eat breakfast, then I go ahead and head off to work. And while I'm at work, I'll also have I typically like to have some tea because I've been trying to cut down on the coffee. But if alternatively, I might have coffee. It just depends on how I feel that day. But that's where the honey comes in. So I typically will have honey with my tea or my coffee, and that's how I sweeten it up. And so around 11 a.m. is when I have my third meal, and that's going to be half of my beef and rice. So I typically will have 1 pound of ground beef plus 1/4 cup of rice. And so as you guys know, I meal prep all of that stuff, and I put them in baggies and put them in the freezer. So what I will do is I'll take one of those baggies out, and around 11 a.m. I'll basically just warm up half of it while I'm at work, and I'll chow down on that. Then around 2 p.m. is when I will have the other half of the beef and rice. And then I usually get out of work around 4:30, and so that's when I head on home. First thing I do when I get home is I'll have the other half of my pre-workout drink, and I will go ahead and take the Turk Builder Plus. Now, Coach Greg recommends that you take Turk Builder Plus in the morning. However, in the beginning, I'm going to try to experiment with taking Turk Builder Plus in the late noon. And the reason why is because I want to do my cardio in the morning, and I want to go ahead and lift weights in the afternoon. And when you look at the GO2 Max formula, and if you look at some of the Coach Greg's video where he talks about GO2 Max is supposed to be really good at getting your body to mobilize the energy that's already in your muscle. And it's also supposed to be good at getting your body to metabolize and use your fat as energy. So I would prefer if I do my cardio in a fasted state. Basically, I don't eat anything, and so that I can allow the GO2 Max to really do service function. So that's why I want to have the GO2 Max in the morning. If I was to do the Turk Builder Plus, um, if that means that I would have to like also lift weights in the morning as well. And if I was going to lift weights in the morning, then I will want to at least put something in my stomach after doing all of that cardio. But the problem is that I would have to like kind of deviate how I do that cardio, because if I do the cardio first, it's basically going to drain all of the glycogen in my muscles, and I'm not going to really be able to lift weights as efficiently and push myself the way I want to push myself. So that means I would need to like eat something at 5 o'clock in the morning, wait about 30 minutes to an hour, and then go ahead and work out, and then do my cardio. I just don't want to do something like that. Now, we'll see how this works. Either the first time we're trying this out, we're going to do the GO2 Max in the morning with the cardio, and we're going to do the Turk Builder plus the lifting of the weights in the afternoon. So that's how we'll see it. If it doesn't really work out like that, then I'll just probably switch it, right? And I'll take the Turk Builder in the morning and lift weights, and then when I come home from work, I'll go ahead and do the cardio with GO2 Max, and we'll see how that works. So it's going to be some experimenting, because ultimately speaking, when I look at some of the people who've taken ecdy steroids, and even Coach Greg himself, this right here may one of the side effects is that it might mess with your sleep a little bit. And so one of the precautions that I've taken to combat that is I've been basically reducing my intake of coffee. So that's been my main thing, because after years and years of abusing myself with coffee, pretty much I came to the point where I was drinking like 6 to 8 cups of coffee a day. The coffee has started messing with my sleep. So what I do is, generally speaking, I just try to almost not take coffee, but I am a coffee drinker, so sometimes I get hangering for some coffee. So I'm not trying to take any coffee at all while taking Turk Builder, so I'll consume tea. That's my alternative. But yeah, if this taking this after work, if this messes with my sleep, then of course that will trigger the changing of these supplements, where I take this in the morning and lift weights, and I do my cardio in the afternoon. But if there are no side effects from taking the Turk Builder, then I will just go ahead and leave the status quo, where I do cardio in the morning with my GO2 Max, and I lift weights in the afternoon with Turk Builder. So that is how that's going to be formulated. And so after I've done my workout, like around 7 p.m. is when I'll have my last meal of the day. And it's going to be protein powder. And with my protein, what I like to do is I like to have some soy milk. And I also like to have, some type of berries or banana. That's typically what I'll include. I actually need to update this a little bit, because this one here doesn't include the Okay, sorry about that pause, but yeah, I just had to make a quick correction to the diet. So anyway, so I went ahead and updated it. I basically add on 2 tablespoons of honey. So I added on the 2 tablespoons of honey, and I added on the 1 cup of frozen fruit. Because what I put into my smoothies, give or take, is like 1 cup. Like for example, I may put in like one whole frozen banana, and so I just count that as like 1 cup. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much the diet. So it comes out to really it's actually like 2,217 calories, but I go ahead and add like 83 calories onto it. And that's just to kind of round things up, because you never know. Everything on the package is not going to be 100% exactly as it reads on the package. So I like to take a little bit of precaution, and that's why I like to try to like round everything up by basically adding on almost an extra 100 calories. And so, like maybe I may not measure out 1 tablespoon of butter because I typically eye it. So that's what that does. And then also, I also keep like these chocolate covered almonds. And so I might pop about 2 or 3 of those if I'm feeling a particular way. So this pretty much keeping it at like 2,300. Just pretty much keeps my diet around what I'm actually consuming. All right, so that's the diet, and then let's talk about the exercise. So, how I'm going to do the exercise is, um, I'm going to basically do like a upper lower split. So today I'm going to do the chest, tricep, back, the shoulder, traps, and delts, and bicep, the upper body. And then tomorrow, I'm going to do the abs, the quads, hamstrings, and calf. And essentially, I'm going to alternate between a push and a pull pretty much every day. And then Saturday is my rest day. I also throw in the option of maybe doing an activity such as going swimming. I am in Florida, I am in Jacksonville, so I am pretty close to the ocean. So, I might want to do something like go hiking, go swimming, or fishing, or something like that. I am trying to get out of my house more and become a little bit more active. So that's why I leave Saturday reserved for activity and resting. Now, I will do cardio every single day. That's going to be nonstop. And again, it's zone 2 cardio. So I'm not basically being too strenuous on my system, because the zone 2 cardio is basically just under that threshold. Um, Anything higher for me than going above zone 2 cardio, basically going above 135 beats per minute, it then makes the cardio session more intense, and it's going to kind of hinder that recovery. Now, normally I would try to put like an extra day of rest, right? Between doing these upper lower type of deal. But theoretically, if the Turk Builder Plus does its thing, right? Or rather, if my genetics allows Turk Builder Plus to do its thing, then I should be able to recover relatively quick, compared to how I normally recover. Like for example, if I was doing this upper lower split, normally speaking, I would recover by like Wednesday is when I'll be good to do another upper body day. The only way I could do an upper body split on a Tuesday, and which might lead to overtraining, is if I just didn't have so many exercises. But then again, I would have to reduce the volume, and by reducing the volume, number one, I wouldn't get the pump, and number two, I wouldn't get the development that I am looking for. So again, if Turk Builder Plus does its thing, I should be able to do this. Now, theoretically speaking, again, if I'm doing the chest workout, this is really almost I would say, what, 36 to 48 hours between doing the upper body workout. So even without the Turk Builder, depending on how healthy you are, you could do this split theoretically. You could do this even without Turk Builder. So again, I'm not telling you to take any of the supplements featured in this video. Everything here is for entertainment purposes. I am using myself as a guinea pig to really see if these supplements would be worth it to somebody who's matches my demographics, right? So I'm 34 years old. So I'm kind of beyond that state where you have the vigor of somebody who's young and stuff like that, who could bounce back from pretty much everything. I'm pretty much way past that, and I am now at the point where, you know, the aging and stuff is kicking in. You know what I'm saying? Which, by the way, because again, it's very loose studies, but this NMN, this nicotinamide mononucleotide, theoretically, that compound should help with improving the NAD in my cells. Which, by the way, after you hit 30 and stuff like that, that's the NAD nucleotides that are in your cells basically start decreasing. So this should kind of help with that theoretically. Again, the studies are very loose and there's nothing that's concrete. So again, if you're healthy and young, you could probably do all of this without the use of these supplements. But as you're getting older, like I am, maybe these supplements can help rewind the clock for you, metabolically speaking, to the point where you can do all of this work within these shorter periods of time. And again, let's kind of look at the work that I'm trying to do, right? So these are the exercises. Pretty much the exercises are about like 90 to 95% the same exercises from phase 2. The only thing is that you're seeing a return of some things that I had took away. Like, for example, when we look at the abs, I had took away the oblique twists, but now the oblique twists are back. I had took away the chest flies. The chest flies are back. And basically, the reason why in phase 1 I took a lot of these exercises away was because I was trying to decrease the volume to the point where I can have adequate recovery. Because how I was normally doing everything, it would take me almost 5 days to recover. So that's why I changed some things around. However, because I have been almost consistently, it's been almost, but I've at least done some type of work every week. Because I've been training for about 3 months, my body has gotten better at recovery. And so before I had caught COVID, I was basically starting to test about adding more volume back to my workouts. And that's because I had did like a gauntlet, and I had did that Monday, and I felt like I could have worked out again that Wednesday. And so that was a lot for me. So again, the workouts are basically, a lot of stuff that I cut out. Some of that alternative workouts that I have has been merged in. And so we have this super workout, right? And so again, it's going to be an upper lower split. So I'm going to basically do all of this stuff right here. I'm going to do all of that in one day, and then I'm going to do everything down here, and I'm going to do that the second day. But every day I will still do cardio. For now, in the beginning, I'm going to push myself to do at least 1 hour of cardio. every day. But as I progress, that amount of cardio that I do is going to increase, right? So we're going to go from like doing an hour of cardio a day to doing like an hour and a half of cardio a day to doing about 2 hours of cardio a day. So basically, every 10 weeks is going to be like some type of change in how I do these workouts. But going back to what we have here on screen, for the upper body, it's going to be the bench press. I've added a new exercise, which is going to be the pull over. Now, for the pull over, it can either work your chest or work your lats depending on what you do with your elbows. So if you lock in your elbows, that pullover is going to cause you to flex your chest more, and so that's how you're going to work your chest. But if you let your elbows flare out a little bit, that pullover is going to work your lats more. So how I'm doing the pull over is more of a chest focused workout, and it's it's just what I wanted to do. I wanted to try to get in an additional exercise that was going to give help with some shoulder mobility work, and that's why I chose the pull over, because when you're flexing your shoulder and stuff like that, holding a plate or holding a dumbbell, it's going to kind of work your shoulders. It's like you're doing a rotation with that, and so that's going to help with your shoulder rotation. And as you guys know, I sometimes write myself a ticket to Snap City, so that's why I have to be real careful with my shoulders. And then we're going to conclude the chest workout with a chest fly, right? For the triceps, is just going to keep it basic: a tricep push down and a return of the overhead tricep extension. Again, the overhead tricep extension, I had introduced that at one point during phase one of my training, and it created like such a burnout with my tricep. It took over 5 days to recover. And now when we look at the shoulder, traps, and delts, um, we are going to go ahead and do the shoulder press. I am really trying to work on my form with the shoulder press and trying to improve it so that it doesn't kill my shoulders. We are going to be introducing these barbell shrugs. And so, we pushing the weight above my head, and now we're going to be pulling the weight towards my head. So I thought that would be a nice little combo, and that those shrugs are really going to be good for hitting the traps in the rhombus. And then also I got some deltoid flies to really target the side delts. So when you actually look at it, the pullovers that I'll do for the chest is going to also target the front delts. And when I'm doing my shoulder press, it's also going to target the front delts. So I don't really need to have exercises that's going to hit them. It's already going to be hit whenever I do a bench press, a pull over, or even a shoulder press. These front delts are going to get worked. So to kind of round it out and even everything, I have these side delt flies. So I'm bringing the weight to the side, and that's really just to get the side delts hit. Um, and that's pretty much going to be it for the shoulders and traps. And then we kind of go into the back workout. And so, I talked about the front delts and I talked about the side delts, but what about the rear delts? The rear delts is being taken care of whenever I'm essentially kind of pulling with my elbows kind of like upwards, right? That's what's going to like and really engage those rear delts. And so the face pull is what is the main exercise that I'm using to target my rear delts, and it also is complementary because it also hits some of the rhombus muscles that are in your back as well. So again, for the back, we're going to be doing the sitting cable rows. We're going to do the lat pull downs. These are stuff that we're already doing from phase one. It's just that face pull, I had introduced it one time in phase one as part of the alternative workout routine, but now it's fully part of the program. So it's going to be a featured exercise now. And then for the biceps, same thing with the triceps. We're going to be doing some the easy bar bicep curls, and we're just going to be doing some hammer curls. I'm not 100% sure if I want to do like hammer curls or do like a straight bar curls, because the easy bar works the bicep in one way, and a flat straight bar kind of works the bicep in a different way. And then you also have again those hammer curls, which again, how you're holding your arms is going to work the bicep a little bit different. So I'm not too sure if it's going to be the hammer curls or if I'll just switch this out to a straight bar. Just don't be surprised if that happens like during the program. And so that's going to be it for the upper body. And then when we look at the lower body, you'll see, let's look at the abs. You'll see that we have the return of the oblique twist, weighted crunch. I think I had took the leg lift out, but they're all being brought back in. And that's going to be it for the abs. And then we have the quads and hamstrings kind of broken up. So for the quads, we're going to do squats and we're going to do three-way lunges. And essentially for the three-way lunges is you'll see me like lunge one leg forward and then come back. Then you'll see me lunge to the side, one with just using one leg and come back. And then you'll see me kind of go at an angle where I'll step that way and come back. And that way it kind of makes sure that it hits all of the quad muscle. But essentially I wanted to have like a second exercise for the quad. And that's going to be it for the quads. And the hamstring slash glutes, we're going to be doing deadlift, and that's what the hip abductors are going to kind of target. I was going to do hip thrusters, but I just don't feel like I just don't feel like I'm at that point where I can do hip thrusters. I will say probably when I get towards the third part of this test, of this experiment, when we get to the third part of the experiment, that at that point I will start probably adding additional exercises. And so hip thrusters will probably be one of them. But generally speaking, for the hamstring, glutes, and hips, I'm just doing the deadlift and the hip abductor and adductor. So basically, one is going to be pulling your hips inward and the other one is going to be pulling your hips outward. And so I just do an exercise for each one. And then for the calf, if you notice, like everything is really 3x12, but when you get to the calf, it's going to be 6x12, and that's because I'm doing like a three-way calf press. And my three-way calf press, you'll see my feet is just going to be facing parallel, and then they're going to be slowly going outward, right? So it's going to be parallel, it's going to be outward, and then it's going to be facing inward, and that's how I do my three-way calf press. So you'll see my feet, they'll be facing like this, and then you'll see me pushing up, you see my feet pushing outward, still pushing up, and then you see my toes pointing inward and still pushing up. And what that does is it really kind of specialized targeting each part of the calf muscle. So if your exterior, if like the more outer edges of your calf muscle seem really big and your inner, that little porcel of meat right there with your calf muscle seems a little bit scrawny, then you could just kind of point your toes inward and it'll help build up the interior of your calf muscle. And so that's going to be it for the lower body. Now for this experiment, and when it comes down to the weightlifting, we are getting a little bit more scientific, and we are incorporating some more advanced muscle lifting weightlifting tactics. Like for example, now we're getting into the tempo, and essentially each set, because each set has 12 reps, and it's going to be a minimum of 40 seconds. And how this works is every time, let's look at, let's say the bench press, right? So if I'm doing like a bench press motion, there's going to be the eccentric, and then it's going to be the concentric, right? So it's going to be a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? And that's how I'm going to do each exercise. So now I'm going to be more conscious. That way I'm not just throwing the weight around, all willy-nilly. We're now being conscious of the form, thinking about where our elbows is, trying to make sure our wrist stuff is right under the bar, and we're going to be on the eccentric, a 3-second count, 1, 2, 3, and then right after that on the concentric, a 3-second count, 1, 2, 3, right? And maybe a pause at the bottom. And so that's how we're going to do each of the reps, right? And so that's going to be, those are those rules right there. Now, in terms of how much weight I'm using, we're gonna basically start the weight off where we were at the end of phase 1. Now, just remember, for the past 3 weeks, I have not really been lifting any weights. I have been dealing with COVID, and now I'm past the point where my lungs don't feel like absolute garbage, because that's the only thing that was knocking me out. I had full intentions of continuing to work out, but the COVID was messing with me. My lungs were being coated with phlegm, and it was just terrible. I was coughing, hawking stuff up, but then at the same time, I really didn't even get any real rest, because how this happened is I still had to go to work, and I probably got a lot of people sick, and for those people at my job, I am so sorry. But I did not want to use any time off. So I was working. I was still trying to get through COVID. I was taking Dayquil, NyQuil. I was popping those cough drops like they were candy. And so, yeah, it was a very terrible time. But I am through the worst of it. I still have a cough every now and then. I'm still coughing up like dark yellow mucus and stuff like that. However, again, my lungs, because I'm just going by how I feel, my lungs do not feel like absolute garbage. And it's not like I didn't try. I did actually try to exercise. I had experimented, like 1 week I had did cardio, the next week I had did cardio again. And guess what? Every time I did it, I just felt like absolute garbage the next day when it came to my lungs. So, that last week I just didn't do anything. But yeah, so that's what was going on, right? But now we're back where we left off. So the goal is, in terms of how much weight do I use enough weight where I can do 3 reps comfortably with 3 reps shy of failure. Okay, I want to be shaking. When I'm doing my bench press, I want to be kind of really shaking at that last one. So when at the end where I'm doing like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 12. That's what I want for that last one, right? So yeah, I'm kind of shaking at that 12, but I know I could basically do 3 more, right? So I can't be to the point where I'm just like where I could barely lift it up, because that basically means I'm pretty much at failure. I need to basically be 3 reps below that point where I'm just like kind of struggling, where if that bar goes down one more time, it's not going back up. I want to be 3 reps away from that. So that's how I am. But because I'm not a psychopath, what I typically do is I just build off of the prior week. So, let's say I'm doing some bench presses, right? I don't know why bench press says 35. Oh, okay, these got mixed up. So this was 35. and this was 130, right? So let's say, at the end of phase one, my working weight for my bench press was 130 pounds. What I would probably do is I would probably just add like 10 pounds to that. And every week I would just keep doing the same thing, right? Until it gets to the point where, let's say by July 7th, right? Um, at that point, let's say I was at 130, 140, 150, and now I'm at 160, right? If when I'm doing my reps at 160, that I notice that I'm basically pretty much doing these sets to failure, what I would do is I would cut back on that weight. So I would just go ahead and go back towards 150. And that will let me know that 150 is where is basically where I'm 3 reps shy of failure. So that's how I do that. And essentially how it will go after that is once I come to the point where I can't really increase the weight by 10 pounds every week, I'll just increase the weight by like 2.5 pounds or 5 pounds every week, and that's how I'll do that. And so it'll still progress, but it'll just progress even slower. So I'll be progressing faster and faster and faster until I get to the point where I'm pretty much doing things till failure, and then I'll dial back by about 10 pounds, and then I'll only add like 2.5 pounds every week. And so I'll still be progressing when it comes to my strength, while at the same time I'm able to get the volume in to build up my hypertrophy in my muscles so that my muscles get bigger. And so that's how I do that. That should be 120. And that should be NA. I'm gonna print this out afterwards so that I could build up my whiteboard. I just wanted to make sure that I had everything correct. Okay, so that's how that works, right? So if you kind of looked on how I have this board, you'll see that I'm going to basically be running this experiment for about 30 weeks. So the experiment is going to be basically broken out into 3 different parts. And we'll get into the reason why a little bit later. But for the first part, how we do our sets is going to be, there's going to be one warm-up set, and that warm-up set is going to be basically half of the working weight that we normally do. And then after we do that one warm-up set, then we're going to be doing 3 working sets, right? And so that's going to be for the first 10 weeks. Then when we get into the second part, weeks 11 through 20, it's going to be 1 warm-up set, it's going to be 3 working sets, and then it's going to be 1 set till failure. So instead of doing 3 by 12, it's going to be 3 by 12 plus 1 till failure, right? So ultimately, we're going to be doing 4 sets by the time we hit part 2 of this experiment, right? And then when we get to part 3 of the experiment, and at part 3 is where we're going to be experimenting with adding more exercises to the program, which is going to increase the volume. But part 3 is also going to mainly be 1 warm-up set, 3 working sets, and 2 sets until failure. So essentially, we're doing 5 sets by the time we get to part 3. So part 1 is going to be 3 sets. Part 2 is going to be 4 sets, and part 3 is going to be 5 sets. Now, why are we increasing the volume? Well, this is an experiment, right? This is an experiment to see how close can Turk Builder Plus replicate the effects of steroids for somebody who matches my demographics, right? And again, my demographic is going to be a male, 34 years old, who is obese, right? These are going to be the general demographics that I am testing for. So there's going to be a limit to how effective this is going to be for me, and this is going to really just come down to genetics. So again, this may be a hit or miss. I may come to understand during the first 10 weeks that Turk Builder is not effective for me, right? That's a general possibility. So I may find out during the first 10 weeks that Turk Builder does absolutely nothing for me, right? Or it could be pretty good, but when I get into the second part, I might not be able to recover fast enough when I start doing sets until failure, right? So like normally if you're taking something anabolic like steroids, those steroids will allow you to recover faster because ultimately speaking, steroids and ectosteroids like turkesterone, right? These mimic testosterone. Okay, and so when the testosterone is in your body, when you're increasing the levels of testosterone in your body, that's how you're able to create an environment that's conducive for muscle growth, right? For muscle recovery and repairing and stuff like that. So, how close can Turk Builder get to something like a steroid? And again, the only biggest variable when it comes to looking at ectosteroids is that it's going to be a hit or miss for people. But let's say that it is a hit for me. Can I do one set till failure? Can I do 2 sets until failure? You know, how much volume will Turk Builder Plus allow me to do and recover in a standard amount of time for somebody who's healthy, who's basically working one muscle every other day for a total of 3 days per week? Can Turk Builder allow me to do something like that? That's the question that we're trying to ask. So that's why, again, the first phase is the first part of the experiment is just to see, will these do anything, right? Will these do anything with slightly more volume and work than I was doing in my first phase of training? Again, all of these exercises were in my first phase of training. There's a few that are new, but in terms of the volume, my training, I had basically some of these exercises I did in one and some of these exercises I did in another, right? So again, my body has already been pretty primed up for this experiment. And so again, I know what I can do. Theoretically, I should be able to do all of these exercises under this first stipulation. The only caveat is instead of doing these 3 days a week where I'm doing upper, lower, I would have only did upper, lower 2 times a week. So I would have hit the upper part of my body 2 times and I would have hit the lower part of my body 2 times. And so again, that's the only caveat. So the first part is going to establish if Turk Builder is effective. And again, that's going to be a period of about, let me set that right. That's going to be a period of, one second, just trying to get the screen back right. So the first part is to see whether I am able to do more than what I did the prior uh, phase of my training, right? So I can do all these exercises. I know I can do all these exercises, and I can recover within about 72 hours is typically how long it'll take me to recover if I was to do all of those exercises. So in my normal way of training, if I did all of those exercises for the upper body on Sunday, I wouldn't work the upper body until Wednesday. I would do the lower body on Monday, and then I wouldn't do the lower body again until Thursday. So essentially, Tuesday would have been a rest for me, and then I would have had Friday and Saturday off. That's how I normally would have done things if I was doing this much volume, right? But since I'm hitting them 3 times a week, that's going to establish whether this is effective or not. And then the second part and the third part of the experiment is just to see how far we can push Turk Builder Plus. So that's going to be the second and third part. And so we'll see. We'll see how that works. But that is generally how this program is going to work. And again, it's going to run for about 30 weeks. Now let's look at the forecast. Like, what are the results that I'm expecting from this experiment, right? So when we look at all of this right here, try to move this over so I get as much of this in the screen, right? So again, my goal of my program is, I got 2 goals really, right? The primary goal is to build muscle, and the secondary goal is to lose weight. Now, as a person who is natural, you should be able to put on about 20 pounds of muscle, especially if it's like your first serious muscle building. Like if you're considered a novice, you definitely should be able to put on about 20 pounds of muscle within 1 year. That should be pretty fair for somebody who is a natural lifter, right? So about 20 pounds a year, and you could theoretically keep that going for each year, until you get to your genetic limit, right? So again, you should be able to put on 20 pounds of muscle. So again, I have this set at 20 pounds divided by 52 weeks in a year, and so that's how I get a muscle gain of 0.4 pounds of muscle every single week. I should theoretically be able to do that. Now, I should actually be able to go above that, right? So if I was training normally, this should be how much muscle I should be gaining minimum each week. Since I am training a little bit enhanced, right? Let's be fair. Even though this stuff is found in nature, right? Testosterone is literally harvested from plants. It's hard to find those plants, but the source of the testosterone are plants. For the other ecdysteroids, the source of the ecdysteroids themselves can be a variation of plants, some sea animals, and insects. That's where you'll get the ecdysteroids from. But in terms of the actual testosterone, this is harvested from plants, and so again, it's I'm not. This is not a steroid, but it should replicate some of the effects of steroids. I hear Coach Greg says this is like a quarter to maybe a third as effective as something like Tren, but again, this is going to vary from person to person, and we won't know until we actually try it. But let's say that this could replicate in me about a third as effective as something like Tren. Well, then I will theoretically be able to do stuff like having two of my sets work till failure and stuff like that, right? Let's say this is only a quarter as effective as something like trend. Well, I should at least be able to take one of my sets till failure with the amount of volume that I'm doing. And let's just say that this is only maybe a tenth as effective as trend. Well, at the very least, I should be able to stick to this schedule and have no problems while doing this amount of exercises. I should be able to stick to this schedule and recover and still be able to do all of these exercises. So again, that's how we can tell if this is even effective, right? Because as a natural, for me, I could not do all of these exercises and recover within this time period. I'm not at that health level. Now, of course, as I lose weight, as my muscles become more conditioned, my recovery will become better. And I would probably, if I was about a 250 pounds instead of 359 pounds, if I was doing that, at 250, I should theoretically be able to do all these exercises and stick to this schedule. So that's going to be another variable to kind of look out for. But to combat that variable, as I progress with my training, right, as I, lose more and more weight, I'm going to increase the volume. I'm going to do more cardio. And that should combat that variable a little bit. But yeah, let's get back to the weight loss, right? So I weighed myself this morning. I'm at 359.5 pounds. If you saw the video that I put out yesterday, I was at 363 pounds. And that was partially because I had drank a little bit of water. And I was eating my breakfast before I had realized, oh no, I should weigh myself. Because basically I was doing the prep for my experiment, right? So that's why my weight was a little bit high. But today, again, I weighed myself and I am at 359.5 pounds. Now, again, I hypothesized that I should be gaining about 0.4 pounds of muscle every week. And again, this is very, very, very doable for somebody who's a natural. Now, if the testosterone is viable and it is as effective as I hope it to be, I should theoretically be gaining a little bit more than 0.4 pounds of muscle a week, maybe 0.5 to 0.6 pounds of muscle each week because of the increased volume that I am doing. And the recovery environment and the increase of molecules in my body that kind of acts like testosterone, it should theoretically be able to boost my muscle gains each week. So I could very well end up gaining, instead of over these next 30 weeks, I estimate that I'll gain about 11.5 pounds of muscle. I may be able to gain 15 pounds of muscle over these next 30 weeks. Who knows? But that's going to be for the weight, for the muscle gain. In terms of the fat loss, now, the amount of cardio that I am trying to push myself to is really about 800, right? However, as we progress, this may go above 800, right? So this 800 is kind of based off of some of the results of phase one when I would do cardio. So if I did cardio for like a full 40 minutes, I would be pretty close to about 800 calories that I burned during that session. When I start this thing, I'm going to be doing about 1 hour of cardio with the goal. And of course, when we look at GO2 Max, GO2 Max should allow me to boost my energy, allow me to recover between sets faster, and it should allow me to work longer. You know, that's one of the things that Coach Greg has really emphasized in his videos. The benefit of GO2 Max is GO2 Max allows you to do more work. So if he was asking Coach Greg, like, for somebody who's trying to lose weight, which of these supplements would he suggest? More than likely, he would suggest that you do GO2 Max. And the reason why he would suggest that you do GO2 Max is because it's going to act like a fat burner by allowing you to do more work, right? So, you know, if you look at somebody like David Goggins, right? When David Goggins, when he was trying to get into the Marines, he was 300 pounds. So he was about 100 pounds overweight. He was able to melt off that 100 pounds over the course of 3 months. And how he did that was he was basically doing 2 to 4 hours of cardio every day. So if you can work out as long as David Goggins, you can theoretically burn more calories and you would lose weight faster. So I am trying to do somewhere between 1 to 2 hours of cardio a day. We're going to start at 1, and after 10 weeks, it's going to be 1.5 hours. And by the time we get to weeks 21 through 30, it's going to be a full on 2 hours of cardio. So that's why for the cardio burn, I have it set for 1,000 calories. If I work out for 1 hour at my weight, I should theoretically burn off about 1,000 calories. And just to keep everything, you know, more accurate, right? Let's see. Divided by 1,000 calories. No, it would be 1,000 divided by 360. No. Yeah. So theoretically speaking, I should be able to burn 2.78 calories Let's just paste that formula in. All right. Now, of course, again, I'm trying to maintain about 1,000 calories burned when I'm doing my cardio. As I lose weight, the amount of calories that I could burn within an hour is also going to slowly decrease, right? Which is why, again, in each part of this experiment, I'm going to increase the amount of cardio I do by about 30 minutes, right? So the first part is an hour, the second part is going to be an hour and a half, and the third part is going to be 2 hours. And it's not going to be perfect, right? But the calorie burn should remain relatively even, right? In terms of my original rate of burning 1,000 calories for weighing 360 pounds. So, but for calculation purposes, we're still going to see this decline, you know what I'm saying? And I'm still going to have that as part of the trajectory of where my weight should go, right? And also I have my daily activities. So I do work at an office, but I do sit down most of the day. And when I look at my calorie counter, I typically will burn about 500 to 600 calories. So I went ahead and kind of dumbed that down a little bit. and I have this at a rate of like 1.25 calories burned per pound of weight, right? And so that's how I do my calculation for my sedentary activity. So again, as I decrease my body weight, the amount of calories that I burn just sitting down doing nothing will also decrease. Will also decrease, right? I should do the same thing for the calories that I burn lifting weight, right? So normally when I do all of those exercises, I burn about 800 calories. So let's see. It's going to be 800 calories and divided by 360 pounds. So 2.22. So this should equal 2.22 times my body weight. And let's bring that down. The formula. And so there you go. This forecast should completely reflect as my weight goes down, the amount of calories that I burn in these activities should also go down. For example, my the calories burned just sitting around, just maybe doing some walking and stuff like that, is going to also ultimately going down. The amount of calories that I burn lifting weights, for like, because I know to do all of those exercises is going to run me somewhere around an hour to an hour and a half of lifting weights. So during that period of time, which by the way, I have worked out for like an hour and a half, and I have burned over 1,000 calories. So me calculating this based off of 800 calories is super lowballing the amount of calories that I probably will burn in reality. So again, there's going to be some variation. You may come to see that I lose a lot more weight compared to what you see on this chart. You may see that I gain a lot more muscle than what you see on this chart. So just keep that in mind, that this chart right here is just an estimation. But generally speaking, if everything remains perfect, the amount of calories that I consume is exactly 2,300. The amount of calories that I burn are exactly as you see on this graph. And I'm only building like 0.4 pounds of muscle every week. Theoretically speaking, by the end of this experiment, which ends on January 19th, 2025, I should be around 251 pounds. So again, 251 pounds, pretty much by the end of January. So when we're looking at this, we're really almost looking at about 7 months that we're going to run this experiment with testosterone and GO2 Max. Again, there is still a strong possibility that we come to find out in this phase that the supplements really don't do much, or they do a lot and I can just keep on pushing myself. Now, one thing that can kind of mess up this forecast a little bit is, in the beginning, I'm starting out at about 1 hour of cardio. However, the caveat with that is going to be, as I progress, I'm going to be pushing myself. So while this week I may do an hour of cardio, next week I may do an hour and 15. The week after I may do like an hour and 30. If this GO2 Max is really as effective and it doesn't really mess up my muscle recovery, which I don't see why GO2 Max would hinder it. None of the ingredients, in fact, it should be the opposite thing. These ingredients should help promote recovery of the muscles to a degree. As long as these two are working in perfect harmony, I should be able to push myself almost to the level of the third phase if these are working. So again, if turkesterone is as effective, like about 1/3 as effective as something like test, then you may see that I'm doing like 2 sets until failure, like way early on. You may see like somewhere around like August or September, I'm working out like I'm in the third part of the experiment. So again, throughout this experiment, it's going to be a slow push. It's going to be a slow push. And if things work out fantastic, I'm just going to keep on pushing myself more. But remember, the goal is to see what's going to be the limits of these supplements. How much work can I do? How much cardio can I do and still recover and do the exercise and the cardio again the next day? That's what we're trying to figure out, and that's pretty much going to be the setup. So I think I laid out enough of the groundwork. You guys, again, you can see everything. You see the diet, 2,300 calories. You see what I'm eating. You see the macros, 175 grams of protein, 104 grams of carbs, and 123 grams of fat. Now there is a slight there is one slight change that may have to be made with the diet, and that's only because of from some of the people who have taken an ecti steroid. They have gotten they were like very, very hungry because they were able to do more work, they needed more materials to rebuild the muscles that they had destroyed. So it may very well be that I might have to increase my protein intake by like another, I don't know, I may need to add like 50 more grams of protein or something like that. And so when something like that happens, what I'll do is I'll just increase the amount of protein powder that I consume. And that's going to be my ultimate solution for that. I don't want to increase my other macros. So if I'm just trying to increase protein, then of course I'm just going to just add more protein as concentrated as possible. So that's why I'll either increase my protein powder or I'll try to find like maybe a protein bar or something like that. But yeah, that's the only thing that might have to tweak is I might have to increase my protein. So that's something to be on the lookout for. Again, if everything is as effective as I hope it to be, if I'm building over 0.4 pounds of muscle every week, then of course I'm going to need more protein. But that's also going to be a good signal, right? If I need to increase my protein, then I know I'm building way more than 0.4 pounds of muscle every week. And so that's going to be fantastic. Anyway, that is pretty much the framework of this HTLT experiment that I am doing involving turkesterone, Turk Builder Plus and GO2 Max. That is the framework of the experiment. All of my other supplements are pretty much the same from phase 1. I'll do a separate video another time where I kind of dive into my supplements and why I'm taking each one. I'm also going to make a video talking about Turk Builder Plus and turkesterone. It's going to be a 3-part video where I basically dive into you know, what steroids and ecdy steroids are, the pros of taking, you know, ecdy steroids, and we'll go over some of the potential side effects and how to combat those side effects of taking ecdy steroids. I actually pretty much have everything already written down and stuff like that. Also, I already have all my notes and stuff together. I even have all the source materials that I'm going to put into the video. So I am going to try to make the video higher quality than usual. So be on the lookout for those videos. They're just going to be released over time. I'm not trying to release everything at the same time because it's just going to come to a point where I'm not really going to have much to talk about during these videos, except maybe just describing how I feel with these products that I'm taking. So anyway, that's going to be it for today's episode of Pre-Workout Chat. I actually need to finish my pre-workout and I need to go ahead. And as a matter of fact, I think I'll probably just take it right now, right? Go ahead and bust open this GO2 Max. Do it perfectly. All right. Pop this little cherry right here. All right. And of course, for these products, for the Turk Builder, I will be taking one capsule. It says you could take up to 3 capsules of this stuff. And so I'm going to start out with just one to see how that makes me feel and to see if it's as effective. As I'm doing all of this working out and stuff like that, if I'm not recovering as fast as I want, then I'll just up the dosage of the Turk Builder. So I'll start at 1, then I'll go to 2, and then finally I'll go to 3. And if I'm still not recovering within, if I'm not recovering fast enough, basically by the time I get to the 3rd or 4th week of taking the Turk Builder Plus, then at that point is when I'll kind of rule that for me, that my genetics doesn't allow me to utilize an ecdy steroid like testosterone. So that's how we'll figure that out. But I'm going to start off with my cardio. And so we're going to take 1 capsule of this GO2 Max. So get it up here. Got the little fluff stuff here. Okay. I like it when they have that fluff in there. I think to me that's like high quality service right there. They do use some strong plastic. Again, that's some good quality service right there. I like if you're going to be investing into these supplements, and you guys saw the price of these supplements, you don't want these supplements to get ruined. So I like that they put a good quality plastic around here, and they put the little fluff stuff in there. So that's pretty good. First capsule of GO2 Max. Yeah, look at that. 3, 2, 1. No, I'm playing. I'm all right. I can't wait to see how this feels. And then, little bonus, if this is supposed to be good at mobilizing glycogen and then also mobilizing the utilization of your fat as energy. If GO2 Max is supposed to be really good at doing stuff like that, can you imagine adding that on top of some pre-workout? That's all I got to say about that. But we'll see. I'm gonna get that workout in, and we'll see how this party goes. But again, I just have to, stress this out here. For legal purposes, again, I am not a doctor. I am not a nutritionist. I'm not any of those things. I am not a professional of any kind. I am just a humble person who is, experimenting, trying to see what works for me. Everything in this video is for entertainment purposes. I am not sponsored by the company Harder Than Last Time Supplements. So my opinions is not a reflection of that company. And then also vice versa, the company is not a representative of me. So, that is what it is. I am not sponsored by anybody. Again, I'm just being transparent about what it is I'm taking, and I'm just showing to you guys. I am also not encouraging people to take illegal substances. I am not encouraging people to buy or take these products. I just want to show you guys what I'm taking and the effects of what I am taking is having on me. So again, I think that's enough covering my butt. Remember, everybody, stay on the path, and let's see how this experiment goes. I have high hopes. I have really high hopes. I enjoy Coach Greg. I like some of the products that he's had, and I just can't wait to see how this stuff works. I believe in it. I believe in it, and I hope you guys believe in me. And I will see you guys next time.